and welcome to A Hot Second with Nicole and Nakia. I'm Nicole, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of hip opening. Our hips can, often hold a lot of our emotions, a lot of stress. They can also just get tight from sitting all day. So today I'm going to take you through a few different poses that first open up kind of like the outer hips and then get to the front of the hips before we finish. If you have a mat, you'll want to set that up today. You can also grab a blanket or a towel, especially when we get onto our hands and knees, to pad up the knees in case your knees are sensitive. So I'll actually make sure to grab mine now, so I'm ready for that. Because even on the hardwood, or even on my mat on the hardwood, I tend to like some padding. So I'll place that here so it's ready. All right, so without further ado, we'll get started on our backs. So please come to lie on your back. And we'll just take a couple breaths with our soles of the feet planted on the ground just to get centered here. Feel the ground underneath you, supporting you. Send some deep breaths to the belly, expanding as you inhale. Exhale, belly button pulls to the spine. Couple more just like that. Alright, we're going to get to some windshield wiper flow with our legs. So the arms can come out to the sides just so they're out of your way. And we'll start by inhaling center. And then as we exhale, we'll drop our knees over to the right. Inhale up through center. And exhale, knees off to the left. Inhale through center. Exhale to the right. Inhale through center. And off to the left. So you can keep doing this flow on your own for 3 more rounds. Just beginning to wake up the spine with this gentle twist. And also start to wake up our hip joint. So we'll be getting into there momentarily. Alright, this is the beginning of my last round. And one last exhale to the left. Alright, we'll bring our knees back up through center. Check in just to make sure your feet are about hip width distance apart. And then we're going to start with the right leg, raising it up in the air. Maybe give it just a little stretch at the top there. And then we're going to bend it and place our right ankle onto our left knee to create this figure 4 shape. So right here, this might be a lot of hip stretch, and you're welcome to stay right here, maybe providing some resistance with your right hand on the right thigh, gently pushing away. If you feel as though you have a little further to go, to deepen the stretch, you can lift the shoulders, thread the right hand through this opening between the legs, left hand comes around, and you can grab either the thigh or the shin, and on an exhale, gently lower the shoulders back down to the ground. I like to use my right elbow onto the right thigh to provide some resistance, so you can give that a try. We really want to make sure both of our feet are really flexed. This will help to protect the knee, And breathe. See if you can send some deep inhales down into the hips. On the exhale, release anything that doesn't need to be working. See if you can release the shoulders. Maybe create a little bit of space in between the teeth, relaxing the jaw. Continue your inhales and exhales. Nice and deep, conscious breaths. And we'll take one more deep inhale. As we exhale, we'll release the left sole of the foot back down to the ground. And then we'll find half happy baby. So we'll lift up that right foot and use our right hand to grab the outer edge of the foot. And for happy or half happy baby, we want to feel as though our right knee is coming as close as we can make it to our right armpit. And there's kind of this pulling down motion that we can initiate with our right arm. If you kind of want to extend the stretch some, you can lie the left leg long along the ground. Really make sure to ground down on that left hip. We don't want to be falling over to the right. See if you can keep the hips nice and square as you lay. And then again, breathe. This is really getting down into the hips. A really deep stretch. As much as we can control and steady our breath, we can control the response our body has to the sensation. And instead of tensing up, we can invite it to relax. Maybe you move the hand and foot around and exploring the stretch in the hip. Inhale and exhale. Take a breath in and out. All right, and then to come on out, we'll place the left toe of the foot back to the ground. Right foot meets it. And we'll set up for the same thing on the second side. So we'll start by raising the left foot up in the air and then bending it so that our left ankle comes to our right knee, and really flex the foot here. We can use our left hand for some resistance if this is enough of a stretch just right here. We feel a lot of hip opening. And if you have further to go, you could raise the shoulders up off the ground, lift the legs and reach behind, left leg coming through the legs to reach behind the thigh or the shin. Again, keeping those feet flexed as you lower your shoulders back down to the ground. And breathe. Left elbow can create some resistance on the left thigh. Maybe you gently rock the head from side to side, just making sure that the neck, the shoulders aren't working or clenching. Take a deep inhale into the hips. And exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale. And exhale. On your next inhale, you lower the left or the right foot down to the ground. And we'll find half happy baby on the left side now. So left hand grabs outer edge of the left foot, and the left knee comes towards the left elbow as you point the sole of the left foot up towards the ceiling. You can keep the right knee bent as it is, or maybe extend the right leg long. Again, on this side, making sure to stay grounded in the right hip. Keeping the hips square, not falling over to the left side. Deep inhale. And exhale. Breathe in. And breathe out. Slow and steady inhales and exhales. Maybe on this side you might also play around with moving the hand and the foot and beginning to lubricate that hip joint a bit as we find this deep half-happy baby stretch. Take one more deep inhale. And our exhale, right knee bends, sole of the foot comes to the ground. Left foot comes back to meet it. And we'll just feel that stretch for a moment. All right, and as you're ready, we'll gently roll over to our bellies, setting up for a Sphinx pose. So to set up for Sphinx, we can actually check to make sure our elbows are shoulder width distance apart by actually grabbing opposite biceps. That just helps ensure that they're the right width there. And then we can extend our hands back out in front of us, really spreading the fingers away from one another, making sure that the pointer fingers are almost parallel. Tops of the feet are pushing down into the ground, so much so that we actually feel our legs charge up and maybe the kneecaps lift up off the ground. Really press into those hands. Shoulder blades roll onto the back as we reach our chest forward, maybe look up a bit. While this is a lot of chest opening, this is also beginning to open the front of our hips, our hip flexors. Especially, when sitting all day, we're very much in this folded or curved position. And so coming into a Sphinx in the middle of our day can often help to kind of reverse that action and start opening up the front of our body. Inhale, really drag that chest forward. And then as we exhale, you can just come down for a moment, stack the palms, and then bring the cheek or forehead to rest on the mat. As you just give it low back a little bit of a break. All right. And then when we're ready, we'll place our hands underneath our shoulders, tuck the toes, and we'll press ourselves up to hands and knees, tabletop. So this is the time that I usually like to grab my blanket to pad up my knees, give them a little bit more cushion. I invite you to do the same. All right. So you want to check in, just make sure that our shoulders are above our wrists, our knees are right beneath our hips. We're in this nice solid tabletop position. So we're going to come into some low lunges. So we'll start with our right foot first. We'll step it between our hands, the top of the mat, as many steps as you need to get there. You can wiggle it, whatever helps you get there in the position. But then once we're there, we want to make sure that our knee is above our ankle, and also that our back knee, our left knee, is well behind our hips. So sometimes I actually like to take another step back to give myself a little bit more space. On an inhale, we'll place our hands up onto our right knee, and we'll just pull out of the stretch a bit, just to give ourselves an opportunity to tone the low belly. That will help protect, our low back so we don't get any crunchiness as we kind of descend down into the lunge. Good. And breathe here. You really might begin to feel a lot of opening in front of the left hip. And you can stay just right here with the hands stacked on the right knee. If you want to add a little bit more weight to the legs, you can actually sweep the arms up to the sky. Maybe look up at the hands. And even as we're descending into this lunge, you want to kind of feel a hugging in towards the midline of the legs. So we're not just totally collapsing into our lunge, but we can feel the stretch in the front of our left hip with some control. Deep inhale and exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat to frame the right foot. And we'll just step that right knee back and do the same thing on the second side. So left foot steps forward in between the hands. Again, as many steps as you need to get there. Feel grounded. And then check in. Is your left knee above your left ankle? And is your right knee, the back knee, far enough behind you that it's not right underneath your hips? So you might actually want to, tuck the toes and scoot it back a bit. On an inhale, we'll place our hands up onto the left knee or thigh, and then just pull back once more. Give ourselves an opportunity to really hug that low belly in, protect our low back before we descend into this low lunge. Back feet can be, or the back foot can have toes tucked, or sole of the foot flat on the ground. I tend to keep my toes tucked just because it feels better for my knee, but do whatever feels good for you. And breathe. Again, feeling this hugging towards the midline. And pay attention. Maybe you want to stay right here on this side. Maybe you want to sweep the arms up. Look up at the palms or out in front of you. Feel a little bit more length in the spine. And really breathe into this opening in the front of the right hip. Breathe in. And breathe out the mouth. One more inhale. Exhale, hands come back down to frame the left foot. Left foot steps back to meet the right. And then you can just sit your hips back onto the heels or come onto your bottom. Sit in a nice, easy, cross-legged position. And just take a few moments to appreciate the time you took today. Send some energy, some movement, some attention to the hips. All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.